everyone. Yup, I'm sitting around being lazy. You can't always go every day, every minute. Yesterday was a running around kind of day. I had to run a couple towns over to see about a tooth. I've got an old filling that is breaking. So I'm hanging out. It is time for me to be doing my afternoon chores. And you know what? I miss lunch almost every single day. So it's about 12:30, quarter to 1.
M&M's.
All gone. All the sugar is gone. But your Jell-O's in the refrigerator.
But I don't want Jell-O. I just want Oreo.
Oh, I know. We'll have to make some cookies or something another time.
Can I just buy Oreos today?
If we go out. Yeah.
I just want to go out right now so I can buy Oreos.
Why do you like Oreos so much?
Because I like eating single stuff.
Oh, okay. So now you're stealing my lunch?
Mm-hmm.
You're a funny girl. So I'm hanging out, having my lunch because, you know what? Once I get going outside, sometimes I don't stop and I don't sit down to eat my lunch until 2:30, 3:30 in the afternoon. I've got some jobs to do today that I've been kind of putting off. Bethy girl's hanging out with me. And I have got a plate of, ham, cheese, and strawberries. Mozzarella cheese.
Yeah.
Bethany really likes mozzarella cheese sticks, and we found out if we just buy the mozzarella round, it's a lot less money. I cut it myself, and it's way better flavor. It's not full of their anti-caking agent and stuff. So,
Thank God. This day, Mommy.
Almost $7 for a package of cheese sticks. I think it was probably 2 pounds, but this is $3.19 a pound. Sorry, I hate people eating on camera. I won't do it. So I've got a nice little lunch here, and I was just doing some cleaning in the bedroom. So it's laundry day. Catching up on all that. I have some chickens to finish butchering. I started butchering them. My husband usually does the finish work, so I got those. So I got those all ready for him last night and have them sitting in cold water. And they say you're actually not supposed to freeze them or use them for a couple of days. And it's best to not freeze them until they're cooled to below 40 degrees. So we cool them in the cooler full of cold water. Now I usually do the killing and the plucking. I take off the legs and the feet and usually do the eviscerating from the gizzard up. So my husband will generally do the cutting, the evisceration from the back end, and then I package them in the freezer. It's not that I can't, it's just the way we've always tag teamed it. We've been doing it this way for years. So he doesn't have time to get to it. So I have to finish the job to get them in the freezer, otherwise they're going to go bad. So I've got 4 little chickens to do, and they're not really hefty chickens. So I'm going to show you kind of my process for getting that done. And I have this little handy book that I use. It is the Basic Butchering of Livestock and Game, I think. So I'll show you that. Very handy book. It shows you how to do all your basics of your animals. Sheep, pigs, rabbits, deer. I'm pretty sure deer's in it. And it also will show you how to do a cow. The basics of the cuts and things like that, very handy to have. So for now, I'm just going to hang out and have my lunch. I did some cleaning in here. Oh, I mounted a picture for him.
And me.
Yep, and Bethany too. This is a picture of me in middle school. And I just thought it would be funny for my husband. I autographed it for him.
Oh yeah, it's the school.
Yeah, so I just wrote on it. That was about 8th grade. Could have been.
So cute.
It could have been 9th grade. I don't remember. He's had it on his nightstand for over a year, and it keeps falling off. And I thought, there's a spot to mount it. Let's just mount it next to his bed with him, so he can see me every day and every night. He's got another picture here. This is my big girl. That's Juliet. And I was probably 19 or 20 years old. I don't look much different, just a little older. So after my lunch, I'm going to go out and feed the animals and show you how to butcher the chickens the rest of the way. So the nice thing about husband usually doing this is I can get on with other things. I have stiff chickens because they've been sitting in the cold. So you can see, I've got the heads off of them, got the tips of the wings, ends of the feet, and I have to take the oil gland off the back, cut them open. Never really a fan of this. Oh, basic butchering of livestock and game. This will teach you most of what you need to learn. The rest of it is all hands-on, I will tell you. So I've got a little container down here that has got all of my scraps. And you want to go into your oil gland from the top and go around it, up around the pooper, and get rid of that. Without cutting into like your meat. And I'll tell you, the best way to learn is from experience. So I just take my time. And don't worry about losing a little meat or a little fat. That's all okay. And generally you can feel in the front when you turn it over, like it's bone structure where you can cut to get into, do your evisceration or your gutting. You know how there's some things that you just rather leave for somebody else? This is just one of those things that I like for him to do for me. Now they say up to the breastbone, you can just cut in, like from the anus up to the breastbone without cutting into your belly area. Just make sure you have a nice sharp knife. And I don't have a sharpening stone. We just have kitchen sharpeners. And it's always done fine. But I might have to get to a hunting store and see about getting something like that. Because the sharper knife does make a huge difference. Okay. Maybe I'll show you up close on the second one. And these are skinny birds. Boy, I'll tell you, for being 7 months old, oh, that's why it's always good to go ahead and do any butchering you can before winter, because keeping an animal fat in the winter is so hard. And I don't mind trimming off some of the fat, it's no biggie. Okay, so now I'm just feeling for that joint, that bone, and that's kind of your cutting guide. I have butchering gloves, they're called Kevlar, so that you don't cut through your hand at all, but you can't feel all this bone structure with those gloves on, so it's kind of nice to work without them. If you do happen to cut into like the bowels or anything, just rinse it really good. You know, in general, you want to not have any contact, but if you do, just clean it up fast. A bit of a feather here under the skin. Weird little birds. These were the black Australorps, and then I had one barred rock to do too. So yeah, see, now I can see my intestines in here. And because it's such a skinny bird, there's not a real big opening. So I'm going to cut away some of the fat. Boy, I tell you, this chicken's got some fat for being such a skinny bird. They were eating beans, soybeans, and oats. And I'm not fast at this. My husband can do it in like 5 minutes. That's the reason. You know, he's got more experience. Let him do it. We have in the past just completely skinned a bird. It kind of cooks up better in the crock pot with it. And if you do it right, make sure I got this all cut through. you can pull out the oil gland and all the innards in one handful. Just don't cut through. This is why people buy chicken at the store. The time that it takes to do this. You can go to the store, but you know how they say in an economic collapse and things like that? Survivalists, homesteaders, you know, preppers, they're all, hey, we gotta know how to do this. We kind of do it for, you know, the health of the family and kind of entertainment. It's part of our homeschooling, which if you didn't remember, I'm homeschooling the kids. They're all in the house right now because it's the afternoon and they have work to do. So I kind of get them started on some projects. And if they need more instruction, they come back, but Mom's got to do work too. Alright. I think I got everything loose. Okay, so now, this is where that fat kind of gets in the way, but you know what? Oh, and you can render your chicken fat too. There's not very much. And some people save the feet, the liver, the lungs, the heart. You know, makes good dog food or cat food. But I just real carefully cut around there, pull everything out. The lungs a lot of times don't want to come out with the rest of it, and they make a special scraper for that. But usually if you just spray or run some cold water in, then they come out off of the ribs. They're up here in this section. It's not a bloody gross process because when you kill your chickens, we do ours in a homemade killing cone. You can tie string around their leg and cut their throat. If they bleed out upside down, don't let them just flop around on the ground. You'll get all bruised meat. And it does make a difference. Alright. So, everything should come out. And a lot of, like, if you don't get all the tail feathers out, that's okay, because you're going to get them in this process. When you cut off that oil gland, it'll all come out. Alright. That looks real good. So, I kind of wish I would have gone ahead and done this the other day, because then I didn't have to finish it now. But I've only got 4 to go. 4 total. So if you haven't figured out, we're in my garage, and this is a butchered, partially butchered chicken. You can see I made a couple little accidental cuts on it when I was pulling the skin off earlier and things like that, but this is its windpipe and everything else. I leave the necks on. It gives good flavor in the crock pot, and I pretty much only do them in the crock pot. So this is the top of the oil gland right here, and you can feel all this bone. This is from a rooster. So we're going to just cut out as much of that as I can. And because these were done the other night, they're very stiff, and you can see they're very skinny birds. You can keep them fat depending on what you're feeding them. Right now they're eating whole grain, and they just don't gain and hold that weight as well. So, see these little feathers? Those are going to just all come right off. definitely start with a nice sharp knife. I'm able to do this with just the tip of the knife and go real slowly. If you have a couple of little pin feathers, you can just pull them right out. And I always keep a clean bucket of water handy. And it can be bleach water, that's fine. It's hard to find that bone sometimes, and you know, you stick your finger in his butt one way or another. I don't know if you can hear the kids in the house. They've got Nerf guns that they got for Christmas. This one is so skinny, it's hard to do. Just a leftover little part of its windpipe. Oh, that's that. So see, all this hard organ, so good. You got liver and kidneys. This is the bile. You don't want to puncture that. You have to cut that, trim it off separately from the rest. I really just don't use it, so I don't make the effort. So I'm not super fast at it, but I don't mind. It's got to get done. And like this bird was getting attacked, and he was going into shock, and he was about dead. They are getting bored this time of year, and I've never really had them this late in the season, but they need something to do or they start cannibalizing each other. They were attacking his foot, and he was just about gone. So I thought, you know what, I've raised him this long, I'm not going to just let him die and go to waste, because he wasn't going to last. So I got all my stuff together and hung him up and got him killed before he died. And it was literally, when I found him, he had minutes left. So he just kind of went to sleep in my arms, and I finished him off. It's a lot of work to get them to this size, just to have it wasted. I don't want to do that. And the more you do it, the faster you get. Don't worry about that. I do it probably twice a year, with the occasional, you know, like right now. We usually tend to do them in big batches. But once you get through this little tail piece with the oil gland. The rest of it goes really nice. And you can feel their tailbone in there. But with a good knife, you can generally get right through it. I looked at a fillet knife, and I think it might be really good to use for this. But boy, they are something. So we are using Victorinox knives, and I actually ordered them off of eBay, but it's what they use in kitchens, so why not use it here? Most restaurants have a knife service that comes in and sharpens the knives and swaps them out. We're not that fortunate, so I do need to see about a nice sharpening stone for here at home. I don't really see an end to this. It's something that we've always done since we've gotten our farm. Neither of us raised food for meat on our own growing up. My mom had rabbits. I remember having a goose and maybe a duck when I was very small. My mom had, I don't know, 5 or 10 acres. And we did this stuff when I was super small. This bird's full of water. It's running off the table. Alright. So, see, I give him a lot of credit for doing this for me, but it's literally a 5-minute job. And these birds are so small, I may cut them up and put the whole thing into one bag. Because they're so little, it's not really worth all the extra bags and everything. These could be dinner tonight. My channel is about 60-65% male viewers. Do you guys go out and do this? Did your moms do it when you were growing up? Seems like the moms would always, in those old movies, have a flock of birds, and it was her job to deal with the chickens. I think it's just a good way for the whole family to be involved. So with having kids around, the process can be a little slow with interruptions, fights, trouble, crying babies. We've got a baby gate between the kitchen and the garage, and a lot of times he'll stand there and watch me, the baby, and cry, wanting mommy. So I warmed up the room a little bit by having the door open this morning, but it was just better to close it for now. Otherwise, he'd be interrupting the whole time that I'm talking to you. He's got me all the rest of the day. And keep in mind, this is just a portion of the day. So, the whole family pitches in, like, with taking care of the baby or taking care of each other, taking care of school. I decided after my lunch that I would feed the animals and get them taken care of because I didn't know how long this would end up taking, and I don't want them being hungry. And it's been so cold this week. Like I said, it takes a lot to get an animal to gain weight in the wintertime, but you definitely don't want them losing weight. So I don't want them to lose all that hard work that I've put into them so far this winter. Because it's January, we got a long ways to go. there's still at least 30, 35 chickens out there. So to just do a couple at a time like this, it will be nice to just kind of thin them before spring. I got another raccoon last night, and I don't know really if I'll order more birds this year or not, just because I kind of have some other plans, and I will talk to you about all those plans as we kind of get into things. The nice thing is I'm getting to all of these roosters before they're getting to be seriously loud. A couple of them were crowing at 5 in the morning the other day, but they were in a pen just outside of the door, so I knew I had to get to them. George is back at the door. He's figured out where I am. I'll tell you, it's really nice doing this in here. We did those ducks last fall or early this spring. I about froze outside doing them. I think when we did the ducks it was like 50 degrees out. It's in the 20s right now. There's no way I'm doing this outside. I just feel around till I get everything out. Sometimes it's hard to get all of that crop out or the windpipe. There we go. And then I trim up anything excess. A skinny bird like this is really good for making like chicken stock. Because if I put this on the table, cooked, I mean, he's nothing. I don't even know if he would register a pound. They're terrible light. Alright, yay me. Alright, I've got a little bit of cleanup to do, and I will catch you guys back here in a minute. So unfortunately my camera died before I was able to finish all of that and sign off to all of you. George and I just made up a batch of homemade ice cream. It's a little something that I do, and it's a 2-day process. So we cook it up on the stove and then stick it in the fridge. So I've got a half gallon of pre-ice cream right here. This will set, and I'll cook up some ice cream tomorrow. Nice little treat for tomorrow. You gotta plan this stuff ahead of time, just like you gotta plan having the freezer full of chickens. So make your plans for this coming year. Get your little baby chicks ordered. Start thinking about what breed you want. Plan your coop out and get it set up to be predator proof. So everyone, thanks for watching. We'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.